trusted Christ. I was 16 years old. I realized that, boys and acceptance and this group of friends were not going to give me the acceptance and the belonging that I had been searching for. I was needing Christ. But then when I got into college, you start justifying, well, everybody else is doing this and it's not really bad, and the Bible doesn't say it's wrong. So it's one little thing, and then it leads to something that's a little bit worse, but you can justify that. And before you know it, I was so guilty about the things I had done. I truly believed that God would strike me dead if I stepped foot in a church. So we were invited to Bible school here, and the kids fell in love with it. I knew I needed to be back in church for them. I knew I needed to set that example. So we ended up coming for Vacation Bible School. The kids loved it. They wanted to come on Sunday, and I knew this was it. So I jumped in head first and wanted to get as busy and active as possible, and I did a Beth Moore Bible study. It was kind of a mind shift for me, because she said, you never thought about it like this. But if you're constantly talking about how horrible you are and how you're not good enough and how you don't fit in, then that's just as much an idol as if you're talking about how great you are. And it just totally hit me. Regardless of how bad you've been, regardless of the things you've done, He loved you, and you're here where you're at for a reason, for a purpose, and everything that you've done to this point, He knew you were going to do it before you were born, and He loved you anyway. And that was probably my defining moment. When we were in Nicaragua, we spent time in the mornings going to a school or going to schools and visiting with the children. And having been a teacher, I can remember the first time I walked into one of the classrooms there and just thinking, how in the world do these teachers teach? We were here in the States as a teacher, and I was complaining that I didn't have a smart board, and these teachers didn't always even have a board at all. So it was a real eye-opener that we have so much to be able to work with, and it was very different than what I expected. Then in the afternoons, we'd go to a village. We would always make a chicken stew, and for a lot of the villagers, that was the only meal that they had that day, and that's what they lived for. And sometimes they may not have anything until the next time missionaries would come and provide them with this. And again, that was an eye-opener, because I'm, had come from the week before looking in my cabinet, and I'm staring at a cabinet full of cans and boxes and lasagna and things that I can make, and I'm like, I just don't want any of this. There's nothing in my house to eat. So you really learn how to be grateful for what you have, because these people, one chicken stew meal is all they may have for days. And when I got home, I was like, okay, we may only have beefaroni today, and we may only have Chef Boyardee, but we have food in our cabinet, and by golly, we're going to eat it. So I spent a lot of time really looking inward at my relationship with Christ. I realized that there was a lot of things that I needed to stop and do differently. I was a lot of time really being appreciative for the things that I had, the roof over my head, the food that was on the table. So I was able to stop and take the time to look at my blessings every day versus just the things I didn't have. And it was a real mind shift. I think one of the biggest blessings that came out of my first trip to Nicaragua was the fact that my children were able to see a change, and they also started putting priority towards missions. And we made it a priority to do that as a family. In growing in that, it also sparked a fire in my daughter to be able to serve in Nicaragua with me. It was one of the greatest blessings I think I've ever been able to experience. Matthew, at this point, is where he wants to go as well, because he's seen such a change in Rebecca and I. And it definitely, my heart, I can't explain how much it overflows at the thought of us being able to serve on the mission field, the three of us together as a family. And I'm truly looking forward to being able to go back again And I think it is a wonderful blessing that God's allowed us to do this. God puts us places, and God puts us where we're at that particular moment in time for a reason, and He has a purpose for us. And I spent a lot of time thinking, you know, He could have just as easily had a plan for me in Nicaragua, and I could have been one of these people who was living off the next meal and dependent on these missionaries. But instead, He put me in Danville, Virginia, and He put me here for a reason. And now I want to find out what that reason is, and I don't want to waste that. My name is Amanda. I'm a North Main member, and I invite you to come grow with us.